Commander Lee Tae-min stood on the bridge of the human ship New Seoul, watching the massive alien fleet through the main screen. The ships were huge, much bigger than anything humans had ever built. There were hundreds of them, all painted in dark colors with sharp edges that made them look like weapons floating in space. "Sir, they're sending another message," said Lieutenant Park Jin-woo from his station. His voice was steady, but Tae-min could hear the worry underneath. "Put it through," Tae-min replied, straightening his uniform. He had been expecting this moment for weeks, ever since the Galactic Council had announced they were coming to Earth. The main screen flickered, and suddenly a huge alien face appeared. It had gray skin, 4 eyes, and a mouth full of sharp teeth. This was Admiral Grixtal of the Vorthak Empire, one of the most powerful races in the Galactic Council. "Human Commander," Grixtal said in his deep, scary voice. "I am here to deliver the final decision of the Galactic Council regarding your species." Tae-min nodded politely. "I'm listening, Admiral." Grixtal's 4 eyes seemed to glow with anger. "Your species has grown too fast, too far. In just 200 years, you have spread to over 50 worlds. You build ships and weapons without asking permission from the Council. You act like you own the galaxy." Behind Tae-min, his crew worked quietly at their stations. He could feel their tension, but they stayed calm and professional. They were good people, and they trusted him to handle this. "The Council has decided," Grixtal continued, "that humanity must give up 37 of your colonies. You will keep only 13 worlds. You will also submit to Council oversight for all future expansion. Your military will be reduced by 70%. Tae-min kept his face neutral, even though inside he felt angry. "And if we refuse," Grixtal smiled, showing all his sharp teeth, "then we will remove you from the galaxy entirely. Your species will be wiped out. Do not think your primitive weapons can stop us. We have been fighting wars since before your world even had life on it." The alien admiral leaned forward on his screen. "Look around you, human. My fleet has 500 ships. Each one could destroy your entire world. Your largest ship is smaller than our smallest fighter. You have no chance." Tae-min looked at the enemy fleet again. Grixtal was right about one thing. The human ships were much smaller. The New Seoul was one of their biggest warships, but it would fit inside just one section of the alien command ship. "You have 24 hours to give us your answer," Grixtal said. "Agree to our terms or face complete destruction. Choose wisely, human." The screen went black, leaving Tae-min alone with his thoughts and his crew. "Sir," Lieutenant Park said. Quietly, "What are your orders?" Tae-min turned to his communications officer. "Send a message to Dr. Park So-young on Luna. Tell her it's time." "Time for what, sir?" Park asked. "She'll know," Tae-min replied. Then he opened a channel to the rest of his fleet. There were only 20 human ships here, tiny compared to the alien armada. "All ships, this is Commander Lee. You heard the aliens' demands. They want us to give up most of our worlds and become their slaves. They think we're weak because our ships are small and our weapons look simple." He paused, looking out at the alien fleet again. "They don't know what they're really dealing with. Send word to all human colonies. Tell them to prepare for the awakening protocol. Dr. Park will know what to do." Captain Kim Hae-jin's voice came over the radio from her ship at the edge of the solar system. "Commander, are you sure about this? Once we start, there's no going back." "I'm sure," Tae-min said. "Our ancestors left us instructions for exactly this situation. If humanity ever faced extinction, we were supposed to remember who we really are." Lieutenant Park looked confused. "Sir, I don't understand. Who are we really?" Tae-min smiled for the first time since the aliens arrived. "That's what we're about to find out, Lieutenant. Dr. Park has been studying those old ruins we found on our colonies. She thinks they might be connected to us somehow." On the main screen, the alien fleet waited in perfect formation. They looked so confident, so sure of their power. They had no idea what was coming. Taemin's personal communicator buzzed. It was a message from Earth. Dr. Park confirms. The ruins are responding to human DNA. The old machines are waking up. Whatever our ancestors hid from us, it's big. Good, Taemin said to himself. Then he opened a channel to Admiral Grixtal. The alien's face appeared on screen again, looking annoyed. What do you want, human? You still have 23 hours to decide. I wanted to give you some advice, Admiral, Taemin said calmly. You have 24 hours to reconsider your position. I suggest you use this time wisely. Grixtal laughed, a harsh sound that hurt to hear. You dare to threaten me? With what? Your tiny ships and weak weapons? Not with what we have now, Taemin replied. With what we've always had, but chose to forget. You see, Admiral, you made one big mistake. What mistake? Grixtal demanded. You assumed we were primitive because we look primitive. You thought we were weak because we act peaceful. But sometimes the most dangerous thing in the galaxy is something that's been sleeping. The alien admiral's 4 eyes narrowed. You speak in riddles, human. Your threats mean nothing. We'll see, Taemin said. 24 hours, Admiral. I really do suggest you think carefully about what you're doing here. He cut the connection and turned back to his crew. They were all staring at him with questions in their eyes. Sir, Lieutenant Park said, what happens if Dr. Park is wrong? What if there's nothing in those ruins that can help us? Taemin looked out at the alien fleet one more time. 500 massive warships, all pointed at Earth, all ready to destroy everything humans had built. Then we fight anyway, he said, but I don't think we'll have to fight alone. Our ancestors were smart people. If they left us something, it's because they knew we might need it someday. Deep in space, hidden machines that had been sleeping for thousands of years began to wake up. The countdown had started, and in 24 hours, the galaxy would learn the truth about humanity. Dr. Park So-young ran through the underground tunnels beneath Luna City, her heart beating fast. The message from Commander Lee had been simple. It's time. She knew exactly what that meant, and it scared her more than the alien fleet waiting above. Dr. Park, wait up, called Kim Jae-ho, her research assistant. He was carrying a heavy bag full of equipment, struggling to keep up with her. Are you sure we should be doing this now? Maybe we should wait and study the ruins more. There's no time, So-young said, not slowing down. The aliens gave us 24 hours. If we're going to do this, it has to be now. They reached the sealed door marked with warning signs in 12 different languages. Beyond this door was the most classified research project in human space. So-young pressed her hand against the scanner, and the heavy door slid open. Inside was a room filled with strange objects that didn't look like anything humans had ever made. The artifacts were beautiful and scary at the same time. They were made of a metal that seemed to change color when you looked at it, and they hummed with a sound so low you felt it in your bones rather than heard it. I still can't believe these things are real, Jae-ho whispered, setting down his equipment. How long did you say they've been buried? The oldest ones we've found are at least 12,000 years old, So-young replied, walking to the largest artifact in the center of the room. It looked like a pillar made of twisted metal and crystal, about as tall as a person. But they could be much older. She had been studying these ruins for 5 years, ever since the first one was discovered on New Busan, humanity's third colony, world. At first, everyone thought they were just old alien ruins, but then more were found on other human colonies, always in the same places, near where humans like to build their cities. The weird thing is, So-young continued, pulling on, protective gloves. Every single ruin we've found has been on a world that humans chose to colonize. Never on worlds we explored but didn't settle. Maybe that's just coincidence, Jae-ho said, but he didn't sound like he believed it. 37 worlds, Jae-ho. 37 different colonies, and we found ruins on every single one. That's not coincidence. She approached the central pillar carefully. And they all have the same thing, biometric locks that only respond to human DNA. The discovery had been made by accident 3 months ago. A technician had cut himself while working on one of the smaller artifacts. When his blood touched the metal, the whole thing had come alive with light and sound. Since then, they had been very careful about who was allowed near the ruins. Dr. Park, Jeho said nervously. What if you're wrong about this? What if these things are dangerous? So Young stopped and looked at him. He was young, only 25, and this was his first big research project. She understood his fear, but they didn't have a choice. Jeho, do you know what the aliens will do to us if we surrender? They'll make us give up most of our colonies, he said. That's just the start. I've been studying the Galactic Council for years. Every species that submits to them ends up as slaves. They take away your weapons, your ships, your right to explore. Within a generation, humans would be nothing more than workers for alien masters. She turned back to the pillar. These ruins are our only hope. Whatever our ancestors left here, it was meant for a situation exactly like this. But how do you know they were our ancestors? Maybe these ruins belong to some other species that's extinct now. So Young smiled sadly. Because of this. She pulled out a small tablet and showed him a picture. It was a carving found in one of the ruins on New Sol, human figures standing next to the same kind of artifacts they were looking at now. The carvings tell a story, Jeho. A story about humans who lived among the stars thousands of years ago. Humans who built great cities and traveled between worlds. Then something happened, something terrible, and they had to hide. She put the tablet away and placed her hands on the pillar. The carvings say they left instructions. If humanity ever faced extinction, the old knowledge would return. And you think this is how we access it? I know it is. So Young took a deep breath. The pillar has been scanning me for weeks, learning my DNA pattern. It's been waiting for me to make the choice. Above them, alarms began to sound throughout Luna City. The alien fleet was moving into attack position, getting ready for humanity's answer. It's now or never, So Young whispered. She pressed both hands firmly against the pillar and said clearly, I am human. I speak for my species. We choose to remember. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the pillar began to glow with warm golden light. The humming sound got louder, and Jeho stepped back in fear. Dr. Park, what's happening? The glow spread from the pillar to all the other artifacts in the room. They were waking up after thousands of years of sleep, responding to the touch of human DNA. Suddenly, So Young's mind was filled with images and sounds and knowledge that wasn't hers. She saw great ships sailing between the stars, cities that floated in space, weapons that could destroy entire solar systems. She saw humans as they had been long ago, not the young species struggling to reach the stars, but an ancient civilization that had ruled the galaxy. The Great Silence, she whispered, understanding flooding through her. They called it the Great Silence. Something went wrong, something terrible. They had to hide, had to forget, had to become small again. The pillar was showing her locations. Now, coordinates for hidden places throughout human space. Places where the old fleet was sleeping, waiting for this moment. Jeho, she said, her voice strange and distant. Send a message to Captain Kim Hee-jin. Tell her to go to these coordinates. She grabbed a piece of paper and wrote down numbers that came from somewhere deep in her memory. Tell her the Guardians are waking up. Guardians? Jeho asked. But So Young wasn't listening anymore. She was connected to a network now, a system of communication that spanned the galaxy. On every human world, the ruins were responding to her activation. Ancient machines that had been disguised as rocks and hills were revealing their true nature. On New Busan, colonists watched in amazement as a mountain split open to reveal a massive communications array. On Harmony Station, miners discovered that the ore they had been digging was actually part of a huge computer system. All across human space, the truth was being revealed, but the most important message was going to Captain Kim Hya-jin, who was stationed at the edge of the solar system. The coordinates So Young had given her would lead to something incredible, the sleeping fleet of humanity's forgotten empire. "Dr. Park," Jae-ho said urgently, "you need to see this." He was pointing at one of the smaller artifacts, which was now showing a holographic display. It showed a map of the galaxy, with thousands of points of light scattered across it. Some were blue, some were red, and some were gold. "What are they?" So Young asked, though part of her already knew. "The blue ones are human colonies," Jae-ho said, reading from his scanner. "The red ones are, I think they're threats, species that might attack us." "And the gold ones?" Jae-ho's voice was full of wonder. "The gold ones are labeled as Guardian Fleet positions. Dr. Park, there are hundreds of them." So Young smiled, even though tears were running down her face. The ancient knowledge was still flowing through her mind, showing her the truth about humanity's past. They had been powerful once, so powerful that they had almost destroyed the galaxy. In the end, they had chosen to give up that power, to hide and wait for a time when it might be needed again. That time was now. "Send another message," she told Jae-ho. "Tell Commander Lee that the awakening protocol is active. The old fleet is beginning to wake up. And tell him—" She paused, seeing in her mind the massive ships that were even now stirring from their ancient sleep. "Tell him that humanity is about to remember who we really are." Captain Kim Hya-jin stared at the coordinates Dr. Park had sent her. They pointed to empty space, far from any star or planet. According to her ship's computer, there was nothing there except cold vacuum and darkness. "Are you sure about this, Captain?" asked Engineer Choi Min-ho from the navigation station. "These coordinates are in the middle of nowhere. If we go there, we'll be hours away from Earth when the aliens attack." Hee-jin looked at her small crew. There were only 12. People on her scout ship Swift Current, and they were all looking at her with worried faces. She didn't blame them for being scared. The message from Dr. Park had been strange and urgent. "Go to these coordinates immediately. The Guardians are waking up." "Dr. Park wouldn't send us on a wild chase," Hya-jin said finally. "Not now when every ship is needed to defend Earth. If she says there's something at these coordinates, then there's something there." She turned to her pilot. "Set course for those coordinates. Maximum speed." The Swift Current was one of humanity's fastest ships built for scouting and exploration. As they jumped to faster-than-light speed, Hee-jin couldn't shake the feeling that they were heading towards something that would change everything. 3 hours later, they dropped out of hyperspace at the coordinates Dr. Park had given them. First, everything looked normal, just empty space with distant stars. "I'm not seeing anything on sensors," reported Lieutenant Park Soo-jin from her position at the science station. "Wait, there's something strange about the gravitational readings here." "What kind of strange?" Hee-jin asked. "It's like there's a large mass nearby, but I can't see it visually. Could be a rogue planet, a world without a sun, drifting in space." Hya-jin felt her heart start beating faster. "Take us toward the gravity source, slowly." As they moved forward, their sensors began picking up more details. There was definitely a large object ahead of them, roughly the size of Earth's moon, but it wasn't reflecting any light. "Captain," Min-ho said in a quiet voice, "I'm detecting artificial structures on the surface of that object. Big ones." "Put it on the main screen," Hye-jin ordered. The screen flickered, and suddenly they could see it. The rogue planet hung in space like a dark jewel, its surface covered with massive geometric shapes that could only be built structures. But these weren't like any human buildings Hye-jin had ever seen. They were huge, elegant, and clearly very old. "My God," whispered Soo-jin. "Captain, I'm detecting power signatures." Some of those structures are active. As they got closer, more details became visible. The structures weren't just buildings. They were shipyards, enormous construction facilities that could build vessels the size of cities, and in the shipyards... "Captain, you need to see this," Minho said, his voice full of amazement. The screen zoomed in on one of the shipyards, and Hee-Jin felt her breath catch in her throat. Sitting in the construction bay was a ship unlike anything she had ever imagined. It was at least 10 kilometers long, with graceful curves and flowing lines that made it look more like a work of art than a weapon of war. "How many ships are there?" she asked. Soo-Jin was working frantically at her station. "I'm counting hundreds, Captain, maybe thousands, and they're all huge." The ships were beautiful and terrifying at the same time. They looked ancient, but they also looked more advanced than anything in the galaxy. Their hulls seemed to shimmer with inner light, and even from a distance, Hee-Jin could feel the power sleeping within them. "Captain," Minho said, "I'm receiving a signal from the nearest ship. It's in Korean." "Put it through," Hee-Jin said, though her voice was shaking. A gentle voice filled the bridge, speaking in perfect Korean. "Human vessel Swift Current, you are welcome here. Please approach the command ship Eternal Phoenix for briefing and integration." "Integration?" Hee-Jin repeated. "What does that mean?" The voice continued. "Captain Kim Hee-Jin, your genetic pattern has been confirmed. You are authorized to board the Eternal Phoenix and receive briefing on Operation Awakening. Automated systems will guide your ship to the docking bay." Lights began flickering on the nearest massive ship, creating a path for them to follow. Hee-Jin realized she had no choice but to trust whoever was calling to them. "Take us in," she told her pilot. As they approached the Eternal Phoenix, Hee-Jin was amazed by its size. Her entire ship could fit inside just one of its docking bays. The design was definitely human. She could see elements that reminded her of Earth's architecture, but it was like seeing a house and then discovering a palace. They docked with a soft thump, and immediately the ship's computer reported that the docking bay was filling with breathable air. "Captain," Soo-Jin said, reading her instruments, "the atmosphere over there is perfect for humans. Temperature, pressure, oxygen levels, everything is exactly what we need." "Like it was designed. For us," Minho added quietly. Hee-Jin made a decision. "Minho, Soo-Jin, you're with me. Everyone else stays here and keeps the ship ready for emergency departure." They put on their sidearms and walked through the airlock into the ancient ship. The corridors were wide and tall, with walls that seemed to glow with soft light. Everything was clean and perfect, as if the ship had been built yesterday instead of thousands of years ago. "Captain," Minho said, examining the walls, "this metal, I've never seen anything like it. It's not just strong, it's actively repairing tiny scratches and damage. This ship could last forever." They followed signs written in Korean down a long corridor that led to what looked like a command center. The room was enormous, with screens and control stations arranged in perfect circles, and in the center, a figure was waiting for them. It looked human, but Hee-Jin could tell it wasn't. Quite right. The man was tall and handsome, wearing a uniform she didn't recognize. His eyes glowed with a soft blue light, and when he moved, it was too smooth, too perfect. "Captain Kim Hee-Jin," the figure said, bowing politely. "I am Admiral Yoon Dong-wook, commander of the Guardian Fleet. I have been waiting for you for a very long time." "You're not human," Hee-Jin said, though she kept her voice respectful. "Not anymore," Admiral Yoon agreed. "I was human once, thousands of years ago. When the Great Silence began, I volunteered to become an AI construct so that I could watch over the fleet until humanity was ready to remember." "Remember what?" Soo-Jin asked. Admiral Yoon gestured to the screens around them, which suddenly came, alive with images and information. "Remember who you really are. Humanity was not always a young species struggling to reach the stars. Once, you were the greatest civilization the galaxy had ever seen. The screens showed images of human cities that spanned entire continents, space stations the size of moons, and fleets of ships that could darken the sky of a planet. It was impossible and wonderful and terrible all at the same time. "What happened?" He-Jin asked, though she was afraid of the answer. "You became too powerful," Admiral Yoon said sadly. "You created weapons that could destroy star systems, tear holes in space and time itself, and when you used those weapons in a great war, you almost destroyed the entire galaxy." The screens showed the aftermath: dead worlds, broken space, reality itself cracking under the strain of humanity's ultimate weapons. "So you hid," Hyejin said, understanding. "We chose to forget," Admiral Yoon corrected. "The greatest minds of humanity came together and made a terrible decision. We would give up our power, hide our ships, and retreat to a single world. We would suppress our own technology and wait for time to heal the wounds we had caused." Minho was staring at the screens in amazement. "But you left all this behind, just in case." "Just in case humanity faced extinction," Admiral Yoon nodded. "The Guardian fleet was created to protect you if you ever needed protection. And according to my sensors, that time has come. The Galactic Council fleet is preparing to attack Earth." Hyejin felt a mix of fear and excitement. "Can you stop them?" Admiral Yoon smiled, and for a moment he looked completely human. "Captain, this fleet contains over 500 ships, each one more powerful than anything the current galaxy has ever seen. The Council fleet has no idea what they're about to face." He turned to the main command chair. "But first, I need to fully integrate with the fleet's systems. I need to become whole again, and I need you to send a message to Commander Lee. Tell him that the ancient fleet is awakening and that humanity's true guardians are ready to protect their children." As Admiral Yoon sat in the command chair, the entire ship began to hum with power. Throughout the hidden shipyards, hundreds of ancient vessels were coming online, their crews of AI constructs taking their positions after thousands of years of sleep. The sleeping giants were waking up, and the galaxy was about to learn the truth about humanity's past. Admiral Yoon Dong-wook felt his consciousness expanding as he connected fully with the Eternal Phoenix. For the first time in thousands of years, he was complete again. The ship's systems welcomed him like an old friend, and through the network, he could feel the other Guardian vessels coming online across the hidden shipyards. "Admiral," Captain Kim Hyejin said from behind him, "what exactly are you?" Yoon turned in the command chair, his glowing blue eyes focusing on her. "I am what remains of the last human admiral from the old empire. When humanity decided to enter the Great Silence, someone had to stay awake to watch over the sleeping fleet." The main screen showed the massive shipyard around them. Hundreds of enormous ships were powering up, their hulls beginning to glow with energy that had been dormant for millennia. "I was dying already," Yoon continued, his voice carrying the weight of ages. "A war wound that our medical technology couldn't heal. So I volunteered to have my mind transferred into the fleet's central computer. I became the guardian of the guardians." Engineer Choi Min-ho was examining the control panels around them. "Admiral, this technology is incredible. These materials, these energy systems, they're centuries ahead of anything we have now." "Millennia ahead," Yoon corrected. "The humans who built these ships had technology that made them almost like gods. They could create matter from energy, fold space to travel instantly between galaxies, and build weapons that could unravel the very fabric of reality." Lieutenant Park Soo-jin looked up from her scanner. "If humans were so powerful, why did they give it all up?" Admiral Yoon's expression became sad and distant. "Because power without wisdom is the most dangerous thing in the universe. Let me show you what happened." The screens around them changed, displaying images from humanity's ancient past. They saw great cities that floated among the stars, worlds transformed into gardens, and fleets of ships that numbered in the millions. Humanity's first empire lasted for over 3,000 years, Yoon explained. We spread across the galaxy, bringing peace and prosperity wherever we went. We thought we were the good guys, the protectors of civilization. The images showed humans working alongside dozens of alien species, building great works together and exploring the mysteries of the universe. But empires always face challenges, Yoon continued, and humanity's greatest challenge came from a species we called the Devourers. The screen showed horrifying creatures that looked like living shadows with too many teeth. They moved through space in ships that seemed to be made of twisted metal and bone. The Devourers consumed everything in their path, Yoon said. They ate planets, destroyed stars, and turned entire civilizations into food. When they reached the edge of human space, we tried to negotiate. We offered them empty worlds, resources, anything they wanted. Hyojin watched in horror as the images showed Devourer fleets attacking human colonies. They refused? They couldn't understand the concept of negotiation. To them, all other life was just food. The war began when they destroyed the colony of New Terra, killing 15 billion humans in a single day. The screen showed the aftermath, a dead world where a thriving civilization had existed just hours before. At first, we fought them with conventional weapons, Yoon continued. Our ships were faster and our tactics were better, but they just kept coming. For every Devourer ship we destroyed, 10 more would appear. They were consuming everything in their path and using it to build more ships. Minho was studying the technical displays. So you built bigger weapons? We built the Omega device, Yoon said quietly. The ultimate weapon. It could destroy an entire solar system by causing the local star to collapse into a black hole. We thought it would end the war quickly. The screen showed a weapon that looked like a crystalline sculpture, beautiful and terrible at the same time. We used it on the Devourer home system, Yoon continued. Wiped out their entire species in an instant. 13 billion Devourers, gone in the blink of an eye, Sujin frowned. That sounds like you won the war. We did win the war, Yoon agreed. But we also broke something fundamental. The Omega device didn't just destroy the Devourers, it created a cascade effect that began tearing holes in space-time itself. The images on the screen became chaotic and frightening. Reality seemed to be coming apart at the seams, with chunks of space-time folding in on themselves. The holes began spreading, Yoon explained. Every few months, another star system would just cease to exist, not destroyed, not consumed, simply removed from reality as if it had never been there. Hyojin felt sick. How many systems were lost? Over 200 before our scientists figured out how to stop it. But the cure was almost as terrible as the disease. We had to use our most advanced technology to create a network of stabilizers throughout the galaxy. It worked, but it drained our civilization's energy reserves completely. The screen showed massive structures being built around stars, drawing power directly from their nuclear cores. And that's when humanity faced its greatest choice, Yoon said. We could rebuild our empire, knowing that we had the power to accidentally destroy the galaxy, or we could choose a different path. The Great Silence, Hyojin said. The Great Silence, Yoon confirmed. The greatest minds of humanity came together and made an unprecedented decision. We would voluntarily give up our power. We would dismantle our empire, hide our technology, and retreat to a single world. Minho looked amazed. You chose to become primitive again? We chose to become humble, Yoon corrected. We used our most advanced technology to suppress our own development, to make ourselves forget the dangerous knowledge we had gained. We scattered hints and clues throughout what would become human space, but only enough to guide you back to the right path when you were ready. The screen showed the Great Exodus, millions of humans leaving their star-spanning empire to return to Earth, while enormous machines worked to hide all trace of their civilization. But we left guardians, Yoon continued. Ships like this one, hidden throughout the galaxy and crewed by AI constructs based on volunteers like me. If humanity ever faced extinction, we would awaken to protect our children. Suddenly, alarms began sounding throughout the ship. Yoon's expression became alert and focused. What is it? Hyejin asked. The Galactic Council fleet is moving into attack position around Earth, Yoon replied. They're demanding humanity's surrender in the next 4 hours. He stood up from the command chair and suddenly he looked less like a ghost and more like a warrior. Captain, I need you to send a message to Commander Lee. Tell him that Admiral Yoon Dong-wook and the Guardian fleet are fully operational. We have 537 ships ready for combat, each one capable of fighting an entire enemy fleet. Are you going to destroy them? Soo-jin asked. Yoon paused. That depends on them. Humanity learned its lesson about using overwhelming force. We won't make the same mistakes our ancestors did. But if the Council insists on threatening our people, he smiled grimly. Well, they're about to discover why the ancient humans decided they were too dangerous to remain awake. Throughout the hidden shipyards, the Guardian fleet was coming to full power. Weapons that could shatter planets were charging, shields that could deflect the energy of stars were activating, and engines that could fold space-time were warming up. The sleeping giants were fully awake now, and they were not happy about being disturbed. Send the message, Captain, Admiral Yoon said. Tell Commander Lee that humanity's true guardians are ready. The Galactic Council wanted to see our real power. They're about to get their wish. Commander Lee Taemin stood on the bridge of the New Seoul watching the countdown timer on his screen. 3 hours and 15 minutes until the Galactic Council's deadline. Around Earth, the alien fleet waited in perfect formation, their weapons pointed at humanity's homeworld. Sir, Lieutenant Park Jin-woo reported, we're receiving a message from Captain Kim Hye-jin. She says the Guardian fleet is ready. Taemin smiled. Put her through. Hye-jin's face appeared on the screen, but she looked different somehow. More confident, more serious. Behind her, he could see the bridge of a ship he didn't recognize. Something huge and magnificent. Commander, she said, I'm aboard the ancient, human vessel Eternal Phoenix. Admiral Yoon Dong-wook sends his regards. The Guardian fleet is fully operational and awaiting your orders. How many ships? Taemin asked. 537, sir. Each one bigger and more powerful than anything the Council has ever seen. Taemin felt a weight lift from his shoulders. Tell Admiral Yoon that I'm grateful, but I want to try talking to them first. Maybe we can end this without fighting. Understood. Sir, but Commander, if they refuse to listen, the Guardian fleet is ready to remind them why ancient humanity chose to sleep. The connection ended, and Taemin turned to his communications officer. Open a channel to Admiral Grixtal. The alien's face appeared on screen, looking as arrogant as ever. But Taemin noticed something different in his 4 eyes, a hint of worry that hadn't been there before. Human Commander, Grixtal said, I hope you are calling to surrender. My sensors are detecting some unusual energy signatures in your system. Those energy signatures are exactly what I wanted to talk to you about, Taemin replied calmly. Admiral, I think you should know that humanity has been keeping some secrets. Grixtal's expression darkened. What kind of secrets? The kind that might make you reconsider your demand for our surrender. You see, Admiral, you made an assumption about us. You assumed we were primitive because we looked primitive. You thought we were weak because our current ships are small. Your ships are small, Grixtal insisted. Your weapons are outdated. Your civilization is barely 200 years old. Our current civilization is 200 years old, Taemin agreed. But that's not the whole story. Behind Grixtal, other aliens were working frantically at their stations. Taemin could see them looking worried as their sensors detected more. and more energy signatures appearing throughout the solar system. "What are you talking about?" Grixtal demanded. "Thousands of years ago, humanity was the dominant species in this galaxy. We built an empire that spanned from here to the galactic core. Our technology was so advanced that we could destroy entire star systems with a single weapon." Grixtal laughed, but it sounded forced. "Impossible. There is no record of such a civilization." "That's because we chose to erase those records," Taemin said. "We became so powerful that we accidentally almost destroyed the galaxy. So we made a choice. We gave up our empire and went into hiding on Earth, waiting for a time when we might be needed again." "You're lying," Grixtal said, but his 4 eyes were showing real fear now. "Am I?" Taemin asked. "Tell me, Admiral, what do your sensors show you right now?" Grixtal turned to his officers, who were all talking at once in their alien language. When he turned back to the screen, his face had gone pale. "My officers report massive ships appearing throughout your system," he said slowly. "Ships that are impossibly large." "Those are the Guardian Fleet," Taemin explained. "The sleeping giants that our ancestors left behind to protect humanity in case we ever faced extinction. And Admiral, they've been asleep for a very long time. They're not happy about being woken up." On the screen behind him, Taemin could see the alien fleet starting to look nervous. Some of their ships were backing away as the ancient human vessels materialized around them. The Eternal Phoenix appeared directly in front of the alien command ship, dwarfing it completely. The ancient vessel was so large that it blocked out the stars, and its hull glowed with power that made the alien weapons look like toys. "This is impossible," Grixtal whispered. "No civilization could build ships that large." "Admiral Yun Dong-wook built that ship when your species was still learning to use fire," Taemin said. "He's been waiting for thousands of years to use it again." Admiral Yoon's voice came over the communication channel, speaking directly to the alien fleet. "Galactic Council vessels, this is Admiral Yoon of the Guardian Fleet. You have threatened the human species with extinction. This is unacceptable." Grixtal was stammering now. We didn't know. We thought you were primitive. We were just trying to maintain order in the galaxy." "By threatening to wipe out an entire species." Yoon's voice was cold with anger. "By demanding that humans give up most of their worlds and become your slaves? This is your idea of order?" "We made a mistake," Grixtal said quickly. "We were misinformed. We withdraw our demands. The Council will leave human space immediately." Taemin held up his hand. "Not so fast, Admiral. See, we've been watching you for a long time. We know about the other species you've forced into submission. We know about the worlds you've destroyed when they refused to obey you." Grixtal's 4 eyes went wide. "You've been watching us?" "For thousands of years," Yoon confirmed. "Hidden. Observation posts throughout the galaxy, monitoring the rise and fall of civilizations. We know exactly what kind of empire the Council has built. On the screens throughout both fleets, images appeared showing the Council's history of conquest and oppression, species after species forced into slavery, worlds stripped of resources, entire civilizations wiped out for refusing to submit. That's going to change," Taemin said firmly. "Humanity is returning to the galaxy, Admiral, not as conquerors, but as protectors. The Guardian Fleet will take positions throughout known space to ensure that no more species face the choice between slavery and extinction." "You can't do this," Grixtal protested. "The Council has been the dominant power for thousands of years." "The Council has been bullying younger species while humanity slept," Admiral Yoon corrected. "Now we're awake and we remember our responsibility. We almost destroyed the galaxy once through our arrogance. We won't let you do the same thing, Ancient human ships were moving now, spreading throughout the solar system in perfect formation. Each one was a masterpiece of engineering, beautiful and terrible at the same time. "What do you want from us?" Grixtal asked, his voice barely a whisper. "We want you to go home," Taemin said. Tell the Council that humanity claims the right to protect the younger species of the galaxy. Any attempt to force a species into submission will be met by the Guardian Fleet. And if we refuse? Admiral Yoon's voice became very quiet and very dangerous. Admiral, my ships have weapons that can turn your entire fleet into cosmic dust without even slowing down. But we learned long ago that overwhelming force should be used only as a last resort. We're offering you the chance to change, to become better than what you are. Grixtal looked around at his fleet, then at the massive human ship surrounding them. He was clearly doing calculations in his head, trying to figure out if his forces could win a fight against the Guardian Fleet. Don't, Taemin advised. Admiral, humanity didn't survive for thousands of years by being stupid. We know you're thinking about fighting us. You have 500 ships, and we have 537. The numbers look almost even. But? Grixtal asked. But our ships are crewed by AI constructs based on the greatest military minds humanity ever produced. They've had thousands of years to plan for this moment, and each of our ships has enough firepower to destroy your entire fleet. To prove his point, the Eternal Phoenix powered up one of its main weapons. The energy discharge was so bright that it lit up the entire solar system like a second sun. That was just a test firing, Admiral Yoon said calmly. At 1% power. Grixtal's shoulders slumped in defeat. What? What happens to the Council? The Council can continue to exist, Taemin said. But as a forum for cooperation between species, not as a tool for oppression. Humanity will help you learn a better way. And if some Council members refuse to change? Admiral Yoon answered that question. Then they will discover why ancient humanity chose to go to sleep rather than rule the galaxy. We won't make the same mistake twice, Admiral. We won't let power corrupt us again, but we also won't let anyone else repeat our mistakes. The alien fleet began to withdraw, their ships limping away from Earth like beaten animals. But Grixtal remained on the communication channel. Commander Lee, he said quietly, why are you letting us go? You could destroy us all right now. Taemin smiled sadly. Because destruction is easy, Admiral. Building something better is hard. Humanity learned that lesson the hard way. Now it's time for the rest of the galaxy to learn it too. As the last of the alien ships disappeared into hyperspace, the Guardian Fleet began to spread out across the galaxy. Ancient human vessels took up positions near the homeworlds of oppressed species, making it clear that the age of Council domination was over. On Earth, people looked up at the stars and saw their protectors, ships built by their ancestors, crewed by the ghosts of heroes, ready to defend not just humanity, but all the innocent species of the galaxy.